I've been replaying Cyberpunk 2077 in the last few days, since I wanted to try the 2.0 update. Actually, now they just released the 2.1 a few days ago. But yeah, it got me the idea of making this video. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Cyberpunk 2077 is a masterpiece or anything like that. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm not going to review it, probably. Never say never. But as a whole, it's not at all what it was promised. As a game, as an RPG. Is it a bad game? No. But it's, in my opinion, is nothing much more than a glorified Far Cry, with some stats and some choices sprinkled here and there. Still, what makes Cyberpunk more enjoyable despite not being perfect are mainly three things, in my opinion. Not in particular order, but I will say what I think is the number one when I mention it. So, to start immediately, number one on the list, but not in terms of importance, is better performance and graphics. Now, I did play Cyberpunk for the first time last year with a worse config than I have now, and it still ran better than Starfield, that I did play on a better config. Especially the CPU was way better on when I played Starfield. I played Cyberpunk the first time on a first gen Ryzen, and I played Starfield on a third gen, actually. Yeah, Ryzen 3. I played on a 5600. So the performance gap between the two CPUs is quite wide. So, but yeah, the performance in Starfield now is better. It's a bit better compared to when it released, but the overall experience was not good when I put in most of my hours. And the graphics too are in Starfield are very like up and down. They are not very cohesive. Some things look nice, some things look horrible. And you also have to think that Starfield came out 3 years later than Cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk still looks better. Even when it launched, Cyberpunk looked way better than Starfield, even without all the patches. And yeah, that's the most glaring thing. It did run better, and it looked better even at launch. Because the problem, from what I remember, the problems with Cyberpunk at launch were mostly the bugs and the console versions that sucked. But the PC version was okay, aside from the bugs, but it was playable on PC. So in that sense, even if you remove the patches from like consideration, Cyberpunk is just a more pleasant experience technically, performance-wise, graphics-wise. It just looks better. The NPCs look better, even though Cyberpunk still has like a few shortcomings, especially like the thing with they did with the supposed child models that are just adult bodies but shrinked. But yeah, overall Cyberpunk is just better in this regard, hands down. Now, number two, we start to get into more important territory. Cyberpunk respects your time more as a player. You have the chance to go somewhere manually or through fast travel. It's up to you. As opposed to Starfield, where you are forced to use the menus or the maps to actually arrive to a destination. Cyberpunk will also allow you to skip car rides in which you are the passenger if nothing important is bound to happen. And on top of that, the contracts are managed way better in Cyberpunk. You go directly to the mission that's marked on your map, the fixer will call you to tell you what's up, and you complete the job and you'll call the fixer back and tell him it's done. In case they also want to give you an extra reward other than just money, you'll only need to collect it at one of the deposit boxes scattered around town. While in Starfield, instead, you'll have to physically talk to the mission giver, go do the job, and then go back to the guy who gave you the job just to say, hey, the job is done. Like, this is just archaic at this point. Do these guys not have long-range comm systems at all? In a universe where like space travel is as common as breathing for the most part? This kind of mission structure could have been fine up until 10 years ago, but now it's just off-putting, just annoying to deal with. And the fact that Starfield doesn't have vehicles for ground travel doesn't help either in this sense. It just makes the issue even worse, probably. And it's the type of issue that I don't know if it will be fixed by updates, because I don't think they can implement vehicles through a patch. I don't think it's possible because their engine doesn't allow them, from what I've heard. I don't know. Now, for the number 3 and the most important one in my opinion, Cyberpunk managed to create a more believable world, a more cohesive world than Starfield. I'll explain myself better. Like, for example, when you enter into a nightclub or bar, a club, what's the first thing, like in Starfield? Take Neon, for example. It's the planet that's supposed to be in the hands of corporations, where transgressions are as common as water is, but and drugs too. It's a planet full of drugs. Supposedly, the powerful do whatever the fuck they want. But then you enter into a nightclub, and the first thing you see, what it is? It's a bunch of retards dressed like buffoons, dancing like on a podium. Like that's their idea of transgression. It's just not believable. There's a clear disconnect between what the game shows and what the game tells you. Meanwhile, in Cyberpunk, the universe is just more believable because there's vulgarity, there's violence, there's nudity, there's prostitution, there's drugs too, of course. The characters insult each other. Starfield is just too safe, too cookie cutter, boring, sterile. It's not a cohesive and believable universe. It's just too safe. And Cyberpunk just does a much better job in this regard, in immersing the player in its world and universe, in making it feel like relatable, believable, engaging. And this is the biggest fault when it comes to Starfield. Its universe is just not alluring to the player, just boring. And that's the biggest problem that I don't think they will be able to fix, because there's no patch for this. How do you fix this? How do you fix like your universe fundamentally being boring? You really can't, unless you'll have to rewrite everything from scratch, and I don't think they're going to be able to, willing to do something like that. So yeah, it's, and also like there's no gore in another thing that makes everything less believable. Like there's no gore in Starfield as far as I remember. Like gore, mostly like dismemberment. In Fallout there was dismemberment as far as I remember, but why in Starfield they decided not to put it in. And also there's no nudity at all in Starfield. Like it's incredibly sterile. It's just not believable. Even on the resort planet, I think there was not a single person that was in a bikini, as far as I remember. It's allergic to even the slightest controversy, the slightest thing that could cause controversy. Starfield doesn't touch it. That's where it fails. That's where it fails the most, in my opinion. And this is why people are not playing it, are not giving it good reviews, other than the diehard Bethesda fans that are not many. I mean, there's a fucking reason the game has less concurrent players than Fallout 4 and Skyrim 2, I think. Last time I checked, I think it's dropped below those two games too. So I mean, people know how to have fun. If they're not playing it, there must be a reason. So, but yeah, just a quick video to point out these things, because the replaying Cyberpunk actually made me think about what Starfield could have done better. And these are a few things that could have helped immensely, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how things go. In 2 years, will Starfield be better received? I don't think it will. I'll be happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But yeah, this is it for now. Let me know, as usual, let me know what you think, and see you on the next video. Bye bye.